بنحب نعرفكم على أحمد أشكر. هو founder of Hult Prize، واليوم حيكون معنا لقاء لمدة 30 ل 40 دقيقة. We do this in English?
English would be great.
Okay. حتكون
بحكي عربي بس بفضل انجليزي.
احنا بنعمل المقابلة بالانجليزي ونرمي شوية عربي هون وهناك. وصراحة هاي الايفنت هذا فعليا عشان نتعرف على احمد اكثر. وانا الصراحة يعني I'm very honored to be here with you today and get to know you and have our participants get to know you. Without further ado, بنحب نرحب بأحمد. شكرا. All right, Ahmed.
Look at you or look at that?
We could do a little bit of both.
Just kidding.
Since we don't have a mic, we're going to have to do this a little bit louder.
You'll have to get close because
تحبوا تقربوا؟
this is about the max of my vocal.
So بدنا نكون هاديين. So Ahmed, welcome to Palestine. I know it's been tough for you to get in. But before we go into all those details, I'd like to just know, Ahmed.
So
where is Ahmed from?
I am Palestinian.
Okay.
Right? So most times when people ask you, who are you? You start with a couple of details.
Right.
My first identifier, historically, not just because I'm here, but has always been that I'm Palestinian.
Right.
I'm American, born and raised in Kansas, actually. And I am passionate about ideas and commercializing ideas into things that can have impact.
Right.
So that's a little bit about me. I played high school and college football. Little you may not know, I was an All-American high school and college American football player.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
In Kansas, that was.
In Kansas, yeah.
Right. And did you play college football as well?
I did. I played college football at the University of Nebraska and East Tennessee State.
So,
I transferred.
So tell us a little bit about your education journey. Where did you start with there?
I grew up in the States, so I went to private early childhood kind of school that was Catholic. So I went to Catholic school from basically first grade up until I graduated high school.
All right.
Catholic prep school, and then I went to university, and then eventually went on to do my MBA.
And where are you from in Palestine?
Tulkarem.
Tulkarem. All right. From Tulkarem to Catholic school, and your parents are both from Tulkarem.
They are. Well, my dad's from Seda.
Of course.
No, Seda, Palestine.
Oh, okay.
Seda, Kuret Tulkarem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're like OG Palestinians. So when you're Palestinian, a lot of times you live in the States, people are like, "Oh, have you ever been there?"
Right.
Even in Jordan, when we're there, a lot of people ask, "Oh, I'm Palestinian. Have you ever been there?" etc. I was like, "No. Like we're Palestinian. Like my parents live here, and my sister got married here. My family. I've got 3 siblings that married first cousins. Like we are Palestinians as much as anyone else."
Well, so you're on a tour here in the Middle East, and you're come to Palestine to also present Hult Prize. You had an event earlier today at BuildX.
Yes.
How did that go?
It went great.
It went great?
We had a good turnout. We had people being bussed in from Khalil and other places, so it was cool. So we had people from Nablus show up, people from Khalil, people from Bethlehem, Jerusalem. So it was a very cool, cool showing.
So Hult Prize is one of the largest student competitions where students are brought together to tackle key issues in the social realm, right? In social entrepreneurship. Can you tell us a little bit about the Hult Prize? Where does it come from?
So Hult Prize is a program which effectively takes young people in university across the world and develops new standards in terms of training and education in the entrepreneurial space. So we don't really, our program asks young people to create for-profit enterprise, But we just believe that that's the model of tomorrow. We believe that if you're going to create a good business, it should solve a really big problem. And we've been doing it for a decade. We have the largest, whether it's student or not, we run the largest business accelerator in the world.
Wow.
And we have a huge, huge workforce of students. We have 25,000 students worldwide who organize the Hult Prize every year on campuses and in countries. And we give $1 million prize to the winning Hult Prize entry every single year. But our mission is not launching billion-dollar startups. Well, we have one coming in the portfolio in a decade. Our mission is actually to get young people to rethink the future of business. So that's a little bit about what we do.
It's amazing. Can you tell us about your journey, though? How did the idea come up? How did you successfully, like, I mean, it took 10 years.
Is everybody here entrepreneurs in the making?
We have entrepreneurs in the house? Yes.
And in the making?
In the making.
Wannabe entrepreneurs? Yeah, that's good. So, you know, every good idea solves a good problem. You know, it's like the money in startups is the problem that you're solving. So in 2008, I went back to business school after a career on Wall Street, looking for more than just money. You know, hopefully some people in the room have already had their taste in making a little bit of money. Once you get there, you realize it's kind of a big disappointment, especially if you grew up kind of without any or middle, you know, where money was just something that you thought was the gateway to happiness. You start making it, and then you're like, wait, you know, I still feel the same as when I started.
I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, and you know, maybe you drive a nicer car or have a bigger house or wear nicer clothes, but there's still more. So I went through that early because I was, you know, they always say, you know, like a fast-talking young Palestinian child of immigrant, you know, with a chip on my shoulder growing up. Grew up in Kansas, which is the geographic center of America. So, you know, I had this kind of
rush.
Yeah.
You gotta go get it.
Yeah, so at the age of 25, basically made as much money as I thought I was ever gonna need in my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was cool, but I worked hard for that, but, you know, I burned a lot of people, you know, I did things that I would never do today, ethically, morally, you know.
So it's a bit of a dirty game in the profit realm, let's say.
It was, so I knew that I didn't want to give up, like making money. Right. Because it's important.
Right.
You know, I had a kid on the way, and I just bought a house, and I've got to make the payment. But I thought, you know, there's got to be a way for me to make money without sacrificing my soul.
Right.
And that's when I went on the journey to figure out how I could do that.
Right. So that brings me up to the question, and the title of this event for BuildX is شو يعني social entrepreneurship? What is social entrepreneurship? And we'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
So my definition has changed over the last decade. It started as a business which profitably solves a social challenge. Right. Which is pretty straightforward, right? Profitably solve a problem.
Profitably solve a problem.
Social or economic problem. So that every dollar of revenue you generate automatically, without thinking, generates positive net social or environmental impact. Pretty straightforward, right?
Very straightforward.
Yeah. And like, don't get it twisted. It's not a, you know, sustainable charity. It's not a, you know, oh, it's an impact investment. But where I've gone in the last 24 months is I just think it's any business that can sustainably generate a profit.
Right.
And I'll tell you why. Because I think the market is moving to the point where if you don't sustainably generate profits in the right way, in the next decade, you'll no longer have customers.
Right.
Because I think the consumer of the future, I think their DNA has changed. And they're a lot more socially conscious. they're a lot more informed.
Right.
Where products come from, is fair trade being used? Are these products made in places where I don't agree with policy? So I think that the future of social entrepreneurship, we just will X out the word social and it's just
entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So I watched your TED Talk on the future of business, and you mentioned a few elements right now, but again, I think it's really interesting to capture that vision in a way of how we should start thinking about our own businesses when we create them. And I guess we have entrepreneurs here in the room and people that are thinking about businesses. What can you share with them on that?
Well, most big successful unicorns are based around human-centered design.
Right.
Okay? What does that mean? It's a big word.
Right.
It means that your business fills a human need, whether it be emotional, physical, or mental. That's like rule number one, right? Good, because see, when you build a business around human need, there's a demand for it.
Right.
Versus like building a company that can make you wealthier or that can, get you to a faster burger, because you have to understand that I have $1 to spend. Where am I going to spend that? I'm likely going to spend it on my needs,
Myself.
my human needs.
Right.
It'll help me figure out a way to allocate. Then once I get more disposable income, I start changing directions. I go to more consumer goods, et cetera. So that's important, and we're understanding like when to call it quits is also very important. I think that's something I see a lot. I see a lot of founders, kind of trying to take a bad idea that they've spent 3 years on to, forward. And I majored in finance, and I, was on Wall Street. The first thing they teach us is learn how to cut your losses. So what? You're 100 grand in and 5 years of your life. Like 200 grand in and 7 years of your life,
Right.
Isn't any better. So that's the second thing, knowing to cut your losses. And third is you don't have to be an entrepreneur that's a CEO of a company to be a successful entrepreneur. So you can be the number 2 guy as well. So I always tell a lot of people that have startups, like, don't be shy to figure out how you can take your learning of your startup and join another company. So we don't have enough of that in the Arab world, whether it be here, or Jordan, or even Egypt, where the startup scene is popping. Being a number 2 is really critical, because number 2s build economies, not founders.
Right. You mentioned something in the TED Talk as well. Again, I'm going to go back to the future of business and the importance of the why and the importance of the impact. And there was an interesting study you had brought in through the Hult Prize and other partners on the direction of where wealth is going, and people being way more aware about these social issues and actually being more interested. And sometimes I think to myself, I'm quite a skeptic of whether, like, I'm working in BuildPalestine, I'm trying to provide this hope, but sometimes I'm really skeptical about what the future holds. And I think that was a really interesting way of putting it, as the new millenniums will have the power to control and make decisions that have impact. I mean,
that's a big deal. So everybody's on the same page. What we're discussing is the wealth transfer of all the available income and wealth that's been accumulated by our parents and our grandparents will be transferred to millennials in the largest intergenerational wealth transfer in the history of mankind. It'll be about 60 trillion, and it's happening. The first 5 trillion will finish its transfer probably in the next 24 to 36 months. So all products and services you see today in 24 to 36 months will be completely different.
wow.
Because you have different consumers that are thinking about products in a different way. So you have to really rethink everything you know. Our parents, and how many of you, love eating the same food as your parents? Or how many of you love buying the same things or watching the same channels as your parents. Entertainment, right? How many of you are entertained in the same way as your parents or your grandparents, right? Maybe a small percentage, but most of you have developed new behaviors. What do you consider fun, right? What do they consider fun? So think about all of the different things that you and your parents have a difference of opinion on. And then you and your grandparents, right? Every generation is developing its own tastes. And it just so happens to be that the millennial generation has specific tastes around connectivity, around experience, around impact. So there's a mismatch today. In fact, there's not enough supply of products and services which meet the demands of this new generation. And it's a really big opportunity that the Western market has started. I would say in the last 12 to 18 months, I've seen more activity in this ideology than I ever have before. And in fact, if you look at the growth of our company at Hult, we've doubled and tripled each of the last 3 years in size. And it's not a coincidence. I like to take the credit for great leadership and being a great CEO, but the reality is the market is now moving. We've hit the point of critical mass, and it's an exciting time. I mean, how are you going to capture some of that $5 trillion? That's the question people are asking in the next 36 months, max. So,
well, given also going back to Hult for a minute and thinking about your presence in 120 countries, that is, right? How do you connect, or what's your experience from there? What are you learning from there? And how does that also affect the Western world? Because this ideology we're talking about in this movement, is it the same in the East?
Yeah, so this is a great question. So our understanding of borders are changing. So no longer are borders geographical. I'll give you an example. You may have more in common with a buddy or a friend or a connection you made that lives in Australia than you do living right next door to your house. The digital realm that we live in today has completely changed even the basic notion of geography. And there's some radicals today which are proposing new kind of passports, new communities based on not geographic coverage.
Right.
And they want laws that are governed, again, this is like 2100 kind of thinking for, but futurists are calling on a world where, geography is going to radically change. So I'm a believer, I'm kind of in the middle path. I do believe that the trends and the behaviors of people in Palestine are the same as people in Mumbai, and vice versa. And I actually know because I meet them all.
Right.
I mean, just in this last 21-day period, I visited 15, 16 countries, wow. And I've had dialogues like the one we're having here today with the other community, and they're all talking about the same stuff. So
things are looking up.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, again, no matter how hard things seem now,
right?
Brazil's super worried. They just elected a new kind of fascist, populist leader, and I told the papers down there, like, don't worry, we're at the end of an era of populism, and I think we just have to hang on, and time. Well, as these people die out, you'll have a completely new narrative. And again, the data supports it. Yeah.
Data shows that. Great. Given that view around the world, you got that perspective. What do you have to share with us? Given the circumstances here in Palestine are a little bit different, under occupation. There's more challenges that we. But again, I don't want to make Palestine more different than anywhere else.
But it is.
It is.
You have to.
We have to acknowledge.
Acknowledge.
Absolutely.
Occupation is real.
Occupation is real.
And I think that we do a terrible job as Palestinians of telling our story. And I think we are always, that's the one thing I've learned, and you've just been here for a couple of days, but again, just over my last 20 years or so is they're not excuses, but they're preconceived notions that our community has about who they can do business with, where they can raise money, the possibilities of even how basic society should work. And I think I just had a session where I said every cultural aspect of our heritage and our history can be $1 billion business. You know, whether it's kufiyas or falafel or knafe, right? We just don't think. And it's because we think nobody will attend, or we're being too political, or we're not. Like, Ayman, where's Ayman? He's from Nablus. How many of you from Nablus? Handful of people, right? And I always, you know, the first thing we did when we came to Palestine, and you know, America's obsessed with knafe, right? Like, because all the Arabs in America spend every day, all day, looking for good knafe. It's like it's a thing. And I was like, Ayman, you know, take me to the best knafe place. He takes me to a place, and you know, everybody has their kind of their spot. Right. So I said, you know, have you ever guys thought of a knafe festival? Knafe is our food. You know, again, you can claim it if you're a Turk, or etc. But you know, knafe nabulsi that's a Palestinian thing. So why don't we celebrate that? Has there ever been a knafe festival here?
Anyone knows? I know we made the very big knafe, right? We made a world record.
It's there in any festival, so I know it's an Abusa thing. So we have actually a partner here. What's the first thing you had? He had like knafe 2 times, and how many?
How was it?
Awesome. I really liked it.
Yeah.
I got it myself because I didn't know.
Yeah, but like if the world knows that Palestinians are behind knafe, trust me, we will have a much better position. I'm telling you, right? But like, why do we hide? You know, we think it's like this. We want to be engineers and doctors. That's good, but that's
we got to spread the knafe.
We got to spread the knafe,
spread that love.
the handmade artisan stuff. Like, guys, you know, and again, we did it with Falafel Inc.
Well, I was about to go there.
Yeah.
What is Falafel Inc.?
So in that same token, as Palestinians in America, definitely, we are 10 times more proud to be Palestinian than anyone here, just so you know. Because we are a people in the States which have like a common enemy. And the enemy is the media. And they, at all costs, would love to erase the word Palestine, the location on the map. McGraw-Hill, the #1 textbook publisher in America, has just eliminated the word Palestine from their books. And these are all the books that the young people are learning in public school and private school in America, right? So like, we're worried. And we do things all the time we have festivals and Debke Fest. Like, every university in America has a Palestinian club. And every one of those clubs does Debke festivals. The one thing we were missing in America was a good falafel and hummus spot. That was a national brand. The story goes simple. I went to a falafel place in New York, and I ordered a falafel, and you know, they're asking me like, what do you want on your falafel? And they had like, you know, the famous Palestinian salad, right? Cucumbers,
tomato,
lemon. What was it called?
Salata Arabiya.
What was it called in that store?
What was it called?
Do you know what they call that salad in America? They call it Israeli salad.
Oh.
Not just at that shop. That mix in every restaurant in America is called Israeli salad. So you don't know that. Why?
Because we didn't talk about ourselves.
We didn't talk about ourselves. Every Palestinian, every Lebanese, every Greek, they call that salad Mediterranean. You know, they call it something else because they believe that by doing so they will make more money. You know, that people, but we at Falafel Inc., I went crazy. When I saw it for the first time, and then I started exploring, I'm like, it's not one place, it's all the places, right? And I said, you know what? Like, I'm not mad. I said, good for them, right? Honestly, good for them. Like, they took advantage of a product in the market and they branded it as their own. And I said, you know, I'll be damned. My tits have made the best falafel, you know, on the planet. So within 6 months after that experience happened to me, we launched Falafel Inc. as Palestinian-inspired street food, you know, and we took off like wildfire. And people loved it. And we call that same salad, it's called Pali salad.
Pali salad.
Yeah, we got Pali tahini salad. And
You got some hummus?
and we got hummus, and you know, we've got great falafel. According to Yelp, which is like the review website in the US, it's #1 rated, #1. And we've won every award, and our goal is to open 100 locations. And it's like, yeah, and guess who drives hundreds of miles? We have our flagship locations in Georgetown, in DC, Palestinians. They come to support. Our food's amazing, but they don't care. They say to me all the time, it's our first time that we feel like we have a brand.
Wow.
You know, and that's the opportunities that exist in everything related to our culture and history. So it's exciting. You know, it's exciting to be, it makes you proud to be Palestinian.
It's amazing. And Falafel Inc. goes beyond that as well.
It does. So we've also built in the impact. So not only are we, you know, I call ourselves social enterprise, you know, the old way, not only because I think every time we sell a falafel sandwich, we're raising the cultural profile, and we're you know, literally breaking down borders. There's people that come and say, oh, you know, I had a preconceived notion of what Palestinian is. Now I understand. But we also feed refugees, and we hire refugees to work in the restaurants. And the way it works is that for every meal you spend in the restaurant that you buy, we donate one for good. We work with the World Food Program, and we deploy meals. We've deployed almost 250,000 meals since opening less than a year and a half ago. But more importantly, the restaurant looks like a refugee camp. So we have literally, if you were to just take pictures on the inside, you know, you wouldn't know the difference. So we're also, it's like a little museum when you go inside. You are raising the profile of the challenges that, you know, Palestinians and other communities face, you know, because of the struggles and tribulations that we've been through. So there's multiple ways to take on social issues. We've chose ours to, you know, again, Hult Prize, we launched Falafel Inc. for a living. Right. Falafel Inc. just happens to be something that I got passionate about.
And it's a product also of one of your challenges in Hult Prize.
Yes. So we issue challenges every year at the Hult Prize, whether they're on clean water or housing or energy. And as the CEO and founder, my team, our executive team always sits in the circle before we issue a challenge. President Clinton selects, and we issue at the United Nations. So, you know, it's a lot of kind of lights on it. Before we go to market, we always sit around and we say, well, how would you solve this challenge?
Right.
And we have, you know, what kind of leadership would we be if we cast a challenge to young people that we couldn't solve ourselves? And the refugee challenge was one that we issued in 2016, and people said to me, Ahmad, that's too hard. You can't build $1 billion business while helping 100 million refugees. You know? And Falafel Inc. was born as a product of that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I want to go to the question of impact. And I've been looking you up, and I found out you're the mayor. So, mayor of impact. How do we, social entrepreneurs, measure? How do we think about impact? It's a tough question.
Oh, it is.
I think about it sometimes with our own organization. How do we justify our own existence?
Yeah. So look, impact, in my opinion, is more of an input even than it is an output. Because if you design your offering correctly, you should be able to. So we went down the path of economic empowerment, and that's why we have like this year's challenges on youth unemployment, and last year's challenge and the year before have all been on doubling income, access to opportunity. But again, it's really in the design of the offering. Right. And you can't go wrong. There isn't one that does the other. But if you want to talk about value, the value in these organizations will still in today's world will come down to your P&L. So how can you best design a business that optimizes impact while optimizing profit?
Right.
And our model is simple at Hult Prize. It's creating companies which are impact-centered,
Right.
profit-minded,
Right.
and market-driven.
And now I'm seeing it's actually, you're taking out, in a sense, it's putting human in the center, but also acknowledging the holistic
Yes.
approach.
It's a great way to.
It's really also altering that approach. And
It's the way the world works. I mean, you'd be naive to think that, creating a business that doesn't generate profits could be one that could be sustainable today, like right now, day and age. Will that change in 10 years? Yes. I think you'll be able to remit social currency, but it doesn't exist today. I think one day it will, and I use an example that is very easy to think about. It's like if everybody knows who Bill Gates is, founder of Microsoft, Uber billionaire. If I had a company which, ended poverty, right, but didn't make any profit, would Bill Gates be willing to pay me $1 million for that company for the rights to say, I ended poverty? Probably.
probably.
If I said to Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, hey, highest bidder, Bill's offered me $1 million, who wants the bragging rights?
Right.
Because now that means something, right? Like helping the poor, helping the less fortunate does have a currency.
Right.
So if I could even convince anyone in this room to pay me $1 for that business, then the ideology that you could remit social impact for tangible currency is true. So then if it's true, the question is, how much is the maximum? If I created a bid for it on eBay.
5 trillion.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
That's what the market's going
You never
to.
know, because see, here's the kicker. The kicker is, like, the one thing you can't buy is impact. We have a lot of celebrities that get involved with our program. And, when you get to know them and you say, well, why did you, you could do anything. They're like, I can buy anything in the world, but I can't buy
Joy.
the happiness that comes with the impact side. So I think the day will come, but it's not now.
Right. I'm going to go back to impact and think about Muhammad Yunus, who's also an endorser to
Yes.
to Hult Prize. And
You did your homework, I guess.
I read his book just a little bit ago,
Very cool.
and I think he also takes that approach about empowerment. It's really not about just relief
Yeah.
and giving people clean water. We're not just here to offer you clean water. We're also here to make you get out of this situation that you're in. And as you said, a one-way ticket out of that. So yeah, I'm inspired to just connect those two dots.
Yeah,
and
Muhammad Yunus is a fantastic. He's been a personal mentor and friend. And he's helped us
Okay,
in
that's
many
where I
ways.
wanted to go.
Yeah, no, he's incredible. He's one of the first. We've had Professor Yunus involved with us since 2010. So 8 years.
Wow. I guess I'm thinking now falafel and where I'm
What's
really
up with those falafels in like the fingers? That's that a mullah thing or what? Are you guys you guys are okay with
It's
that?
fashion.
It's bigger, Yanni, so it's bigger.
Yeah, but they can't be as delicious because the circumference is,
The tenderness.
yeah, it's impossible. So I don't know who allowed that to go down, but and they're using food in their.
It's globalization.
I guess so. Yeah, no wonder people come to Falafel Inc. and say it's the best they ever had. We kept it old school because I didn't know better. We just used my mom's recipe that she got from her mother, and their falafels are like this big, super small. You could eat like 100, and it's all good. And Falafel Inc. making me hungry. I've tried Ayman's taken me to like all the falafel spots. I'm still looking for something that's.
Well, I'm a fan of the Egyptian.
Ta'miyya.
Ta'miyya. I'm really a fan of that one.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just ask you one question, and maybe we could open the floor after
Cool.
this. Well, actually, there are two questions. What inspires you, Ahmed?
I mean, look, my ultimate inspiration came from my mother,
Right.
who raised us effectively by herself. My dad was busy working, spoke no English, came to the U.S. at 17, 5 kids later, and your inspiration as a human being. I mean, almost Palestinian boys, like we're mama's boys to begin with, but basically, putting myself in a position where mom says like, hey, I'm proud of you, like, I think to any of us, that's probably the best.
That's the motive.
Yeah, like it doesn't get better. And next was really athletes.
Athletes.
Great athletes are very inspirational to me because you see this idea of delayed gratification.
Right. Determination.
And, determination. I've been obsessed with sports and following athletes and what makes them great. So there's a number of athletes, and like Michael Jordan. I know it's forget the off the court stuff, but you look at the stories. Pele also, famous Brazilian soccer player. Amazing stories of doing that extra when your mind and your body say no, and you push through. And if you work at Hult Prize, I push
Hard.
our team that hard. Yeah.
I know Ayman, so.
But those guys inspire, and then like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy with Hult Prize because our student pool. I mean, we see incredible things. They inspire us and they keep you motivated.
What is one of the latest projects that comes to mind right now that's really fulfilling?
I mean, gosh, they're all super fulfilling. Refugee Rise is at the top of my mind.
All right.
Only because I got off the phone with them a few hours
Okay.
ago.
All right.
We've got some serious traction. Refugee Rise focused on women empowerment in transportation, and they service refugee camps and more remote areas where women often are restricted to work inside the home because they're unable to get themselves to another location. And they're oftentimes harassed waiting for cars, or they're unable to ride in cars, in Muslim environments. These guys are operating out of Pakistan because, there's no transport for women. And they just shared with me a story that, they've gone into now about 100 different corporations, and they do, it's not peer-to-peer, it's B2B, effectively, transportation services for corporations so that they can tap into women workforces. And they're moving household incomes up by 2x and 3x.
Wow.
Like getting the woman outside the house and getting her to a
work.
job where she's needed. And it's cool because they aggregate. So they have like 8 to 10 passenger vehicles, and those vehicles will match the 100 different companies. And they'll say, okay, we've got 2 employees at this company, 2 at that company, 3 here.
It's like smuggling.
Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah. And they go and pick them up and take them. And it's a simple innovation. It's not like, but
It's crazy that we have to have that kind of innovation, but we're doing something.
But they're killing the game.
They're killing the game.
Honestly, now employers are looking at them as a value offered solution to hire really good talent. So
Amazing.
They're great, and we've got, I don't know, I could tell you about our companies
for days. I mean,
days,
this is a pool of
Yeah.
ideas constantly from 120 countries. We're sourced, like,
I see a lot of startups. So there's rarely an idea or a,
and there's a power in that crowd sourcing. We're seeing a huge impact in that.
right.
It's just people coming together to really think about these challenges and bring them
You know,
together.
The group of us in this room could, if we spent the right time, probably solve the 3 biggest challenges that this region has right now. I mean, we can at least come up with some great ideas.
Believe it. I'm going to open the floor actually now and give anyone a chance. Does anyone have any questions? Sebastian, please.
Sure. I resonate very much with your idea of cutting the social business, which leaves a good business. We talked about that with the actually yesterday. Because I also had the experience myself that it actually hinders you from focusing on your product, from actually getting minimized, right?
Yeah.
So is there something that you...
For us, we consider Impact Center both from a social as well as a climate change, environmental perspective. So same thing goes, like your business is not a business of the future unless it has a positive impact on the environment with every dollar made.
Okay.
And it's not, again, make the dollar, make the mess, take some of the bottom line and clean up the mess. It's actually, can you be net or better on the mess from the actual
profit?
From the stroke. See, it's one stroke, and this is a completely different mindset, by the way. Because it's difficult. How do you create a business where every time you sell that widget, every transaction, without thinking, is a design that has an eco benefit?
Right. Is that something that you measure when you judge ideas?
We do. We do. But we don't look at it as it's more binary than quantitative, right? Are you doing it or not? Right? Are you doing it or not? All of our measurements are binary, right? Because by making them yes or no, and then going back to the traditional way of looking at a startup, which is, hey, what's your P&L look like? I'm able to quickly get to a even playing field as opposed, because there's no common denominator. Like how many trees, how much water, how much pollution. Like I can't measure what's better. Right? So all I can do is say yes, it does, no, he doesn't, and then come back to the P&L, because that's where the investor is going to come in and value on. Yeah, it's a little radical depending on who you talk to.
Right.
You get it.
I like it.
I have a question. What is the best, personal experience you ever, a trait that you want people to know, something that you learned from all this, but something not international level, but more on a country level, something personal you learned from your experience with enterprise, your life?
Yeah. I mean, kind of a soft skill that I've learned is to listen a lot more. And I know it sounds easy, but
It's not.
it's not at all. I used, you operate with a chip on your shoulder. This is another problem with Palestinians. Again, I'm speaking to you from the heart. We have a chip on our shoulder. All of us. We've lived through occupation, and whether you're here or not, guys. I mean, this issue affects the Palestinian diaspora in Latin America as much as it does people here, and in different ways. And we live with a chip on our shoulder. We always want to prove something, and minshatat abad, too much. We forget to work together, and I was guilty of this often early. You don't want to collide. You want to be the only Palestinian, the only Arab, and that you know everything. But I found, and in fact, I was with a friend of mine yesterday. I was telling my buddies the story. Very successful Palestinian entrepreneur from the Americas. And early in our life, he and I were not enemies, but we never hung out. We were very formal. He was competing and I was competing. When we realized that, 5-6 years later, both of us finally reached a level where
They're comfortable.
we both had made it. We came back together and we said, man, we're so stupid. Because whatever you have and whatever I have, if we had worked together 5 years ago, we would both be 10 times better. And we began to collaborate. And I think we really make that mistake here, right here in this room, a lot. I mean, if you see other communities, how they work together to lift a common purpose, and then you see us, gosh, we could use a lot of work there. And it's not just, it's everywhere. And it's really, because I meet a lot of Palestinians,
Right.
and I'm like, dude, why don't you, and I never raise money for Palestinians. Imagine how many wealthy Palestinians know about me and what I'm doing. They know, right? They see the videos. Any Palestinian they meet says, oh, give us the top 10 Palestinian Americans in business, or whatever. They know me, and I know them. But I still, to this day, can't raise $1 from another Palestinian for Fadat Inc. And I watch that same Palestinian give money to other investors, to other investments. Crazy, right?
Right.
And it happens. And anyone who's raised money or invested money, you know what I'm talking about. So what I'm trying to do is not, I used to be like, oh, pastors, this and that. So what I've learned to do now is not take that approach. And that comes maybe when I'm older and wiser. But, I actually sit down with them and say, hey, what's the issue? Look, I don't want your money. I don't want your investment. I don't want your support. But what I do want you, if there's another, opportunity back, just support, mentor, invest.
Be there.
Be there.
Be involved.
Because together, we're so strong. But for some reason,
we can't tackle that.
I don't know why. And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But it's an issue. I was that way. So my experience, I'm not that way anymore, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
I'm much happier. And if you look at my management team, it's all, Palestinian. There's Ayman here. We have Jamal, Hayat, another Nabulsi. Kareem, Egyptian, pro-Palestinian. If you're not pro-Palestinian, I have a big lot. We are in my company at Hult. We are unapologetically pro-Palestinian. Period. And put that on tape. Tell the world. That doesn't mean we're anti anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a key distinction, right? We're for human rights. We're for equal opportunity. We're for young people all over the world to have a chance.
Right.
And if you're denying that, you're my enemy. But as long as you're with it,
all good.
Come to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So up to date, do you have no Palestinian investors in Colapoli?
No,
No? Okay.
unless I count.
So, I have a question. If you could tell us the story about how the Hult Prize in Palestine started?
Yeah. So I, come to Palestine a lot. As kids, we came every year to Chubut and my mom. Just, get on the airplane, take the kids, and go. And every time I come, I try to meet new young leaders. And I sent a random message through. We have a channel at the WEF. And, this guy, Ayman at ND, responds back from Nablus and says, hey, bro, I'm in the startup scene. Come visit me in Nablus. And we're in Chubut. So, I go to visit Ayman, and the rest is history.
Wow.
He decided, I finally chased him for a couple of years to come work for us. And he finally, and I told him, man, until you come, we're not doing anything in Palestine.
Ooh.
And then he eventually, his national pride kicked in, and he started, and less than 3 years later, we're here and we're here to stay, and we've got a great team.
It's amazing.
So that's, again, the power of one, and us also, Palestinian CEOs. They need to do a better job, and I put pressure on all of them. And there's a group of us, you guys would be proud, in the States, which are proactively, seeking out other young Palestinians, helping them, empowering them, and taking our companies in a direction that also do something
forward.
But sometimes we get burned.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, we got burned. Me and Ayman got burned. We did some pulling strings to get a Palestinian group into our program, and they burned us bad. Right? I must have used every UN connection I had to make some border stuff happen, and it happened. And we got burned.
Yeah.
And I think that's super, super messed up.
Right.
But I'm empathetic to the cause, because when you grow up in a world of not having freedom, I can't imagine that. So whatever their actions were, I'm sure these guys did it because they were look, I'm looking after number one.
Right.
But I think systematically we've just got to get better at providing more opportunities for one another and promoting our collective cause.
I'm going to jump in here.
Yeah.
So the mission of Build Palestine is to connect supporters around the world with Palestine, and this has been one of our greatest challenges, to connect with diaspora. So I mean, this is really our daily struggle right now, and I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Look, the Palestinian diaspora is amazing, but they're hiding. They don't come out that often.
Right.
Usually because they're too busy hustling.
Right.
But I don't know if anyone, there might be poor Palestinians here, There ain't any poor Palestinians anywhere else in the world, just so you know. The Palestinians in every other city in the world are number one in business, number one in trade. They own everything. Grocery stores,
Gas
places.
It's a joke. People always, they laugh at me. They're like, man, like you open a restaurant, and I say, look, when Palestinians make it, they do one of two things. White people, they buy real estate, they get a stockbroker. Palestinians buy gas stations or restaurants. We love it.
Yes.
But anywhere you go, and I've traveled the world. I've been to 100 plus countries. And every country I go to, I reach out to
the Palestinians.
And they're all big houses, they're all giving to charity. It just, we just have to get them. And they have a lot of suspicion. Right? Because anytime you give money here, I don't even donate money there's one Palestinian organization I donate money to, and it's because I know the CEO. And you hear the stories, and you go to Seda and you see the damn USAID branded olive oil being sold in the Dukkan. It's crazy.
Hopefully I'll make you our second BuildPalestine.
Yeah, that'll be good. But that starts with us here in this room. And that's important.
So the response to this question would be like an advice to youth. We are in a country where, as you said, many startups are getting up, many people are getting into business more. How important is it to overcome the titles, the fancy titles, CEO, COO, and all the prestige and the things that come with the business, from your experience?
I mean, titles are only as valid as the people who adhere to them. That's on you, right? You don't have to treat somebody with a title CEO the way you think you have to treat them. Like, that's an artificial title that somebody has put on themselves. So if you don't think they're a good CEO, don't treat them like one. Maybe that's a radical way to think, but you don't need a title.
It's efficient though.
I let my team pick whatever title they want. I don't care. And go earn it. And you can have whatever title you want. You come work for me, you want to be the president and CEO, go ahead, right? But you better, now, if you take the title, you have to live the title.
You have to run it.
Or you get fired. It's very simple, right? So here, it's the opposite. Kind of like...
You get the title.
You get the title, and then...
You enjoy it.
we as your, like, don't go to work for an asshole that's a CEO. Don't go work for him.
Period.
Then believe me, he'll get fired, right? But if you go work there and you give them collected arm and like a little soldier to work and out, clock in, clock out, you deserve it. Because you've let that system win. So that titles, dress codes, again, prestige.
Fancy.
It's only prestige if you allow it.
But if you've earned it as well.
Right, and on the opposite side, if you've earned it.
You've earned it, yeah.
So again, in the US, I can speak to the US, these walls are being broke. So Google, Facebook, Amazon have all announced publicly that their hiring strategies have all changed. They don't care. They used to recruit on campus at the top 10 schools in America. They don't do it anymore. They've announced publicly, like, you come in here flashing your degree and what school you went to, you will be asked to leave.
Yeah.
Because we live in a global economy now.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. In fact, I don't even, my team, the outbound emails are very important. But like inbound, like, we talk slang and, it's not that important anymore. Because we're working beyond boundaries. So don't let, try to not let, and it's hard to break. I know it's hard, but try your best to not let those influence you and be influenced.
We're going to take last question. That's you.
So I think, from my exposure to people, I see that they have difficulty to be involved in social and environmental impactful. Even, just pick up the trash or, recycle your bottles. what do you think incentivize people to be more involved beside the money or beside? I think socially impactful. I think it's easier, but environmentally, it's harder. For people to have this consciousness.
It's
like Germany. I mean,
We're fine with it.
It's ownership. Simple as that. Like, especially Palestine, Jordan, this is the common thing. Like, the immediate doorstep in front of everybody's house is clean. Super clean. Because, we're clean people, like Muslims in general. Like, we're clean people. Like,
The houses.
Yeah. Like, no shoes, in the house. Everybody's, like, nadaf and najasa. Like, it's a big deal. Like, if you want a good cleaning lady, like, you make sure she cleaned an Arab's house first. And then, she's like trained, how to be clean. But it's the ownership. Because we don't feel that the streets are ours. We feel they're the leaders of our cities. And they're not ours. But see, if we keep thinking that, they'll never be ours. And that's where we have to break the mold. And we have to start treat, we say Machiavelli, self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
Like, you want that street to be yours? Take care of it.
Yeah.
Clean it. So we have to collectively, and it starts with one.
Where did the notion of lack of ownership came from? Especially in Palestine, I think there is a huge lack of ownership.
Yeah, I wish, if I was Ibn al-Balad, I'd probably have an answer for you. But I'm trying to answer that question myself. And if anybody has insights to share with me on that, please let me know. But, the Western nations have got it right. All of them. They're all super clean. And it's not that there's budget. Like, there's budget, but people they don't have any, kind of pride or respect. And, it's sad because how do we expect to advance and say, this is my land, my neighborhood, my city.
Right.
We fight about Jerusalem, but go into Jerusalem. Go into the Palestinian section, so dirty. Go into the Israeli section, so clean. Think about that.
They can connect.
Well, you have to let Dawood.
Yeah, Dawood is hosting us. Thank you.
Dawood and one more, since...
Thank you. My question is, how many impactful startups Enterprise Global launched, and how many people were impacted by these companies?
We're what?
How many people were impacted by these companies?
Big numbers.
I don't, so we've had tens of thousands of startups begin.
Yeah.
We do a terrible job of tracking their continued progress. We have at least 1,000 in the market today. And the total number of impacted customers, probably, somewhere between 5 and 10 million.
Great.
I don't know exactly,
Yeah.
Somewhere. Just to give you an idea of the numbers, we have, how many in Palestine, say, universities involved in Hult?
16, I think.
16. I mean, how many registered startups come? How many teams compete?
14 universities.
Yeah.
Plus 500 teams.
Yeah, 500 teams. Every team's got 4. That's about 2,000 in Palestine, which is a small program for us.
Still the beginning.
Yeah, it's our 3rd year in Mexico, where we've been for 4 years with a on-the-ground program. We have 10,000 a year.
Wow.
Per year.
Wow.
And then we do that in 100 countries. So,
That's great.
yeah, it's big numbers.
Taima?
My question is, when you go to the globe and in a worldwide aspect, you'll find find it hard to be recognized as a Palestinian. Like if someone says where you're from and you said Palestine, it would be Pakistan or so on and so on. How do you keep it simple yet straight to the point without involving the many feelings we have? We have war. While keeping the Palestinian image. It's not fully bright, but it's not all dark and so on. In brief words.
Yeah, I mean, look, I haven't had too many challenges, most people in the world, they know where Palestine is. Some places across Latin America don't,
Yeah.
but you just tell them it's where Jesus is from, and they
Problem solved.
yeah. That's very easy, and they're like, oh, Jerusalem, and you're like, yes. But then you have the issue that they're like, oh, well, I thought that's Israel.
Yeah.
But that starts a conversation. Like, well, we live inside the borders, and it makes for fairly decent conversation. But the worst is the West, because some of them, most of them, think that Palestinians, they're confused between the Gulf and Palestine.
Yeah.
So they think like, you're like, oh, Palestinian money, and you laugh. You're like, man, if you only did, but you go with it. So, yeah, cool.
Ahmed,
Good.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was an honor. Truly an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for.
So we're having a group picture with this background.
Yeah?